Okay.
Recording.
Perfect. So guys, thank you for showing up tonight. It's nice cozy crowd tonight we have here. So we're gonna have a good time as we usually do. Did you guys get the text message? That's the first question.
No.
No one got it?
I got it.
Okay, if you get it, when you get it, please take a few moments to answer those questions on that survey. It would really, really help us. And someone send it, whoever got it, can someone send it to Neil and Lori? Neil, I think you took the survey.
I did one online.
Yeah, you did it. If you guys could take that survey, it would really, really help us and allow us to continue to bring top-notch content for you guys. All right, I would really, really appreciate that. Okay, so before we get started, I want to make sure everyone signed in. Everyone got name tags?
I didn't.
You guys ready to have a good night?
You betcha.
Come on, the energy's low. Why don't you guys stand up real quick? Stand up. Everyone stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. All right. Find someone in the room you don't know, give them a high five and tell them what you expect to learn tonight.
Hello.
Come on, let's start there.
I'm going to teach you how to do a buy and hold. Absolutely. There you go. Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. This is our third time.
The stuff here for you tonight.
Yeah, I get it.
All right.
Because with the kids, I'm
Hold up here.
right.
Everyone
Most people wholesaling.
Yeah.
All right.
You do. Yeah.
We're gonna go live through Strasbourg,
Right.
through the Strasbourg group.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Should I put it for public?
What's that?
The live, Facebook live? Public or
No.
Don't do the
Facebook.
No, because they paid for this.
All right, guys.
No, yeah.
Show them the crowd. Show them how engaged they are. They don't want to stop talking.
All right, everybody's talking.
All right, guys, let's get this show on the road. You're going in circles. No,
I am going in circles. Oh, I see what I did. Sorry. Okay, my bad. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Strasbourg, Monroe County.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So how many of you are here tonight to learn some strategies that's going to help you get from where you are to where you want to be? Right? It should be all of you, right? You all are here to get to the next level. How many of you like to get some strategies and see, hear, feel, and know what's the necessary mindset that you need to have to get to the next level, right? Because this game is it's about 80% mindset, right, guys?
Yes.
Yes? Can I get a yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. This game is 80% mindset, 20% skill set, gives you 100% success. So what we're going to give you tonight, we're going to give you some skills, but more importantly than that, your mindset is far more important than the skills you're going to get. You can learn this stuff. I'll be honest, you can learn this stuff on YouTube. What you won't learn on YouTube is what I'm going to help you with, the stuff we do with the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
All right, YouTube. But YouTube is going to get this content because we're going to put this up on YouTube on our channel. So let's get right into it. So since we're going to be spending the next few moments together, is it okay if I tell you a little bit about myself?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so cool. So first of all, I want to acknowledge all of you for being here tonight. You being here tonight is a representation of your commitment to your business and yourself, right? Because again, like I always say, you could be home watching Netflix or novelas instead of being here, right? But you chose to be here. That's a representation of yourself. So as many of you know, I fell in love with real estate when I was 16, when my mom put me out. And I quickly realized that I needed to own real estate, and having a home and food was important. Who here thinks having a home and food is important, right? Primal instinct, right? We all need shelter and food. I quickly realized at 16 that I wanted a lot of real estate because I was on the street. So we always grow from our pains. I made an unconscious decision. I didn't make this consciously. I made an unconscious decision that I wanted a lot of real estate. I remember one day my wife, then girlfriend, coming to pick me up. my job, I used to work in Harlem, 125th Street and 5th Avenue. How many of you know New York City? Right? So I used to work in Harlem, 125th and 5th, and Annie comes to my, say hi, Annie.
Hi.
Say hi. And she comes to get me, and I remember standing across the street from Harlem. Is totally different today, but there was this big burned down building. There was a row home of burned down buildings, and I said to her, "You see those buildings? If I can take those buildings and fix them and rent them in cash flow, that would be great." I had no idea what I was saying at the time. I just had a concept. That's all I had was a concept, and that's when my love for real estate first began. But I had an external struggle, and that was that investors didn't look like me, right? And growing up in New York City, Washington Heights, all the investors I saw were Donald Trump, right? Were Hasidic Jews, and I'm just calling a spade. I would see them walking through the buildings and stuff. And when they walked through, they didn't look like me. So I figured, hey, that's not for me. That was an external struggle, but an internal struggle that I had was I also felt that I wasn't good enough. I didn't feel that I was smart enough, intelligent enough. I didn't have the right education. How many of you have ever had those thoughts? You're not good enough to do something, right? Those are limiting beliefs, and that over time, with work on yourself, you overcome, right? That's where the mindset piece of investing is so important, right? Because you could look at a big building, or you could look at a rehab job. You could look at a rehab and think, oh my gosh, this is scary. Right? How many of you have been there? How many of you have walked the property and said, oh my gosh, this is scary? And those of you that are going to be at the property rehab tour on Saturday, we're going to walk through some properties, and you might think that. But we're going to give you skills and strategies to deal with that, right? Because once you know the data and you understand how to evaluate, you bring down the fear, right? The amygdala calms down. So anyways, I overcame those struggles when I bought my first investment. I was telling Joe this afternoon in my podcast with Joe and Mark how I bought my first investment in 2007 up the street from here, and I paid $100,000 over what it should have been, which reminds me a lot of what's happening right now with this market, guys. Right now, people are paying, $15,000, $20,000, but we're asking so-called investors. These are so-called investors. These are foreclosures, right? They're just buying stuff because that's what everyone else is doing. But you're not doing that, right? Because you're here and you're going to learn how to run the numbers, yes?
Yeah.
Right? So I did that because I had FOMO, fear of missing out, right? So here's what's happening in a lot of people's minds right now. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of real estate out there. Interest rates are low. So people are buying what? You think people are buying houses, or you think people are buying payments? What do you think?
Payments.
People are buying payments. People are not buying houses, they're buying payments because the interest rates are the lowest they've ever been. And what they're buying is payments, and they're forgetting the component of the house. They're forgetting that there is a house, and eventually they're thinking right now, they're not thinking next year or the following or 5 years. When life changes and they need to move or they want to move, right? They're not thinking about that. So they get stuck. I got stuck a year and a half after I bought my property. I had a realtor come out and give me a price of what the property was worth. It was worth $179,000. I bought it for $275, $179, $180, somewhere around there. How about that, huh? I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah.
So I had a mentor, one of my private money lenders called me yesterday. He says, Martin, I'm looking at this property in Scranton, and it's 125, it's 4 units. And the taxes are $10,000 in Scranton. Now I buy in that market, yes, exactly. I buy in that market, I know that market well. And I said, listen, right now in this market, if it's not cash flowing from day one, guys, take this with you. If it's not cash flowing from day one, you should be second, third, fourth, 5 times second guessing yourself. You should be really rethinking that because we don't know what's coming ahead. And I'm going to share some data with you later about it, about some of the data, what's really happening in the market, because it's fictitious what's going on there out there right now. It's Robert Kiyosaki calls it Mickey Mouse money. All right. So anyway, I had an epiphany. I realized that I needed a mentor, I needed a coach, and I did because I was looking at these other guys around me. They were killing it. They had full-time jobs. How many of you have full-time jobs in here? Right? Some of you have full-time jobs. Well, I know investors that were doing phenomenal with full-time jobs, had large portfolios with full-time jobs. They just had the right skills and they had the right systems and teams in place. You guys know that business is two things: is business, marketing and innovation, and the other four things, and systems and people. Systems and people. Marketing and innovation, systems and people. Right? And so I had a conflict. My conflict was that I had no money. How many of you here ever had that? Got no money, right? I can't invest, right? That's a story, guys. Who says you need your money? Right? I was talking to a young man today that is going to be coming on as a client. And he tells me, oh, well, I'm trying to save money and this and that, but I have investors, he tells me, right? I have investors. And I said, so what are you saving money for? I need 20%, but you have investors. Who says you need your money? Right? There's no rule that says you need your money. You can get creative. That's the beauty of real estate. Using OPM, other people's money, leverage it, right? You can help someone else make money on their money, which is hence why you're here, right? You're here because you're learning financial education. And how many people could have been in this room tonight that are not, but yet you are, right? So with the skill sets that you learn when you're around energy, this type of energy, you can go back and help someone else, right? Some people have money sitting in their bank and they're like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do with this money. And here you go, because you have a skill set and you have the right mindset. You can say, listen, you can partner up with me in this deal and you'll make 10% on your money in 6 months. And it's guaranteed through real estate. Is that good or good, guys?
That's great.
Right? It's just about having that ability to think outside the box. But anyways, that was my conflict. I overcame that by educating, networking, showing up to places like this, finding private money. I had a transformation, and that was a mindset shift. I stopped looking at my business as a hobby, because I was playing Mr. Landlord, which is hence why I got burned out. And I started taking it serious, and I started learning systems and putting people and things in place so I don't have to be there all the time. I'll give you an example. So yesterday I had to meet my property manager. One of my tenants put in a refrigerator. She bought a new fridge, so that's good, right? She's making the place nicer. Yet we got there. I was going to go get my fridge. I put it in my garage, and I got there. And when I got there, my property manager met me there. We heard a dog. We heard 2 dogs. And guess who has on his lease no dogs? No pets. Right? So we heard 2 dogs in the house. And I just looked at my property manager. She said, I got it. I said, okay, call me tomorrow. I said, I'm not dealing with it. That's her job. That's what I pay her for. Right? So hence what I'm talking about, having systems and people in place to do things that you don't want to do. So anyways, today I'm the host of Latinos in Real Estate Investing podcast. How many of you have heard my podcast? Any of you? Okay, perfect. Keep checking that out. I've got a good episode with Joe today and Mark. We're talking about the state of the market. I'm going to probably upload that tomorrow. And Joe back there, Joe Scarisi, say hi to Joe. Joe is the organizer of
Smart Real Estate Realty
the Philadelphia
in South Jersey.
and South Jersey Real Estate Investors Club. He's here visiting us again. He's a lender,
So we'll
so
be in Lehigh Valley, 3rd Wednesday of the month, hopefully at PJ Willihan's in Bethel.
perfect. I'll be there. Thank you. So you guys are all invited to go to his meetup there. And so I was talking to Joe, and Joe's boots on the ground. He's in the streets. So the media gives you what they want you to hear. The media's not giving you what's real, right? This is real. All of us here, we're Main Street. We're real, right? We're real. What's really happening in the real world. So anyways, we had a good talk, Joe, Mark, and I, and we talked about the market, what's happening, what we think is going to happen. We talked about the data. I'm going to touch on that a little bit today, because clarity is what, guys? Power. That's right. And anticipation is what? Ultimate power. Guys, anticipation is ultimate power. So the only way you can anticipate is if you study and you look at the data and you look at history, right? So I was in the barbershop today, and I had a group of young people, 18 to 22 years old. And I asked them, what is wisdom? Young people, right? They said, being smart. Give me some really weird answers. And I said, you guys want to know how the fastest way for you to get wisdom is from your own experiences in life. Sit down and analyze what your lessons are. What did you learn? How did you grow? Whatever you're going through, good or bad. So I sent Joe, I'm refinancing my personal residence because the rates are so low, right? I sent Joe, Joe's gonna refinance my property for me. And I sent Joe a spreadsheet. What was interesting is that I sent him the spreadsheet, and as I sent him the spreadsheet, I looked at at my notes, and what I have there is the date I bought the property, the address of the property, the date I bought it, what I purchased it for, my rehab costs, my NOI, my net operating income, and then I asked two very important questions at the very end. And the questions are, what did I learn from this transaction? And how can I get better for the next transaction? Those are the two questions on every property I buy. I keep a spreadsheet. So every time I buy a property, guess what's happening? I'm getting smarter, and I'm keeping track of my lessons, right? My last one, I blew the budget. I blew the rehab budget. I'll admit to that. There was no way I bought a fire property. My last one, I bought a fire property. We looked at the boiler. We got it turned on. And when the tenant moved in, we realized that it was leaking and it was cracked in the middle. I replaced the part, it was cracked in the middle. I couldn't have anticipated that, but it happens, right? And it happened in June. So next week, Wednesday, I got an electrician going there putting baseboard heats throughout. But it happened. There's an extra $3,000 that I wasn't expecting on. Right? So that was one of my lessons, man. I gotta be better. I gotta get better at rehab, at figuring out the surprises. That was a big one. One of my best cash flowing properties, but still, nonetheless, I don't like those kind of surprises. I don't think any of you would, right? $3,000 surprise. So those things happen, right? Those things definitely happen in our business. So I want to just take a moment to introduce everyone. We have a small enough crowd, so I just want to go around the room and everyone introduce themselves. I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself. I'm going to leave Mark, you guys to come up in a moment, so we're going to skip you guys. I'm going to start with you, Veronica. If you could stand up, tell us your name. When someone stands up and they say their name, we say hi and their name. So,
Veronica.
Hi, Veronica.
Hello, everyone.
Where are you from?
We're from East Stroudsburg. I'm here with my husband. We're new to the real estate investment process. We're doing a lot of learning. We're getting a lot of education. And we just hope to learn and grow along with everybody else. And hopefully we can help each other out and make some money together.
Perfect. Thank you, Veronica.
I'm Robert. I'm with
Hi, Robert.
I'm from East Stroudsburg as well. And we're just happy to be here and meeting good people.
We're happy that you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
G, you're welcome.
Hi, I'm Geraldine. They call me G.
Hi, G.
Hi,
G.
G.
I'm from Sussex County, New Jersey, over in Byram, which is kind of near Stanhope, not too far from Newton. And I got involved with this group about a year ago. Just been learning my way around investing. I made a very big, expensive mistake on my first house. I was kind of house hacking, and I bought a 2-family, but I paid way more than it was worth, and I ended up having to sell it for a short sale many years ago. And I was so excited to get in real estate back then, and I was kind of scared off for a long time, but then I kind of got interested again over the last year, and I ended up here.
Thank you, G. Sir, we'll go with you. Please stand up.
Oh, boy. I'm Marty.
Hi, Marty.
Marty. Sussex County, Vernon, near the New York border, and I'm relatively new at this, and give it a try.
Welcome. Well, don't try, do.
Try.
Well,
Dude, there is no drive.
Yes, sir.
I'm Damien.
Hi, Damien.
I'm from Bushkill. I mostly focus on wholesaling, and I have a rental property. I currently have several properties under contracts. So anyone that's looking to buy a property, there is no bidding on the properties I have. You'll be dealing directly with me, and I have access to show these houses as well. Oh, and today I closed my 7th wholesale deal for the year.
Awesome. Congratulations. Ma'am, please.
I'm Lori. We live up in Effort, and
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
my husband and I have a Mountain Property Solutions. We're working on wholesaling, retailing, and eventually renting.
Awesome.
More details.
and I'm Neil.
Hi, Neil.
Neil.
Your lucky husband.
somebody brought up house hacking. We house hacked back in '92 for a couple of years. We did everything wrong. Wrong contractor, paid the contractor in advance, all kinds of problems. And we thought, this is what we want to do in the future. And that was in '92. And well, since we got burned on that, and then our job relocated us out of that home for a little while, for 3 years. We rented it out. Did it wrong too. So we decided that we were going to get some education and figure out how to do it right instead of saying, well, you don't make money with that. You do if you do it right. And so that's why we're here.
Cool. Joe.
Evening, Joe Scarice, Federal Savings Bank, Senior Vice President.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
I have branches in Philadelphia and South Jersey. My brother, my sister, and I have a trust. They have 72 doors in there. And a year and a half ago, I got sick. And, it was a beautiful thing. I was in the hospital, pretty bad shape. Guess what came on the 5th of the month? All those checks.
All those checks.
So, I got a 5-year plan. I unloaded all my small residential, kept all my large multifamily, and really just, I love what I do on the banking side, residential and commercial financing. I'm gonna do that for the next 5 years, buy a couple more multifamily properties and kind of call it a day, from the 5-year plan. So being 50, 55, just kind of write it out from there. So that's kind of plans for myself in the real estate world for the next 5 years.
Awesome.
There you go. That's great, Joe.
Ma'am?
Hi, everybody. I'm Charmin.
Hi,
Hey, Charmin.
Property manager for the last 10 years here in the Pocono area. I'm the person that catches the dogs as well. I'm a dog catcher. But I'm also an investor myself. I also have a 2-unit myself and just learning more. Thanks.
Thank you, Charmin.
Hi, I'm Andy. I'm a local
Hi,
realtor.
Andy.
Hi.
Local realtor.
I'm a local realtor. I've owned my own personal home for some years, but I'm definitely interested in learning investment. Not only do I deal with investors, I want to be able to offer some more value to them, but I'm learning for myself as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Andy.
Great.
So you'll be on Saturday, you'll be at our property rehab store.
I will.
Cool.
Yeah?
Hi, I'm Sylvia.
Hello, Sylvia.
Hi, guys. So I'm new. I'm actually a guest of Andy's today. So I'm pretty much just throwing myself into the pot of things. I've been doing car sales for a while. So I have an interest in real estate. I always have. It's just I've never taken the leap per se. So I'm here to learn. I'm here to be inspired, which I already am. So you guys got that part done.
All right.
She's also the owner of the art studio in Stroudsburg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so if you guys want to visit, it's awesome.
Cool.
I'm gonna go to Lisa over there first.
Oh, how you want to skip me?
Saving the best for last.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa.
Hello, Lisa.
I live in East Stroudsburg. I'm a local real estate investor. I do consulting and wholesaling, and I've recently got involved in the EPE world, and I needed to come to this meeting tonight, so here I am.
Awesome. Thank you for coming, Lisa.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm Daniela.
Hi,
Hello, Daniela.
I'm from East Stroudsburg. My husband Victor. We've been investing since 2015. We've done about 6 or 7 flips, right? We have a couple of buy and holds, and I'm just here to learn more and hopefully get into multifamily.
Thank you, Daniela. Mr. Lee?
Okay.
There you go.
Now you may stand.
Let the ladies go first, brother.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jason.
Hi, Jason.
I'm more or less a new investor. Multifamily is my focus, and I'm here to network around with everybody else.
All right.
Okay, perfect. So at this point, Mark, turn it on.
Yeah, I'm doing
At
that.
this point, I want to bring a couple guys. I want to bring these 2 guys up, Mark and Victor. These are the 2 co-organizers. Let's give them a hand because without them, I couldn't. I'll let these guys introduce themselves.
I'm Mark Florentine, and I'm working on
Hi, Mark.
working on doing a better job on the camera. Sorry, guys. Next time. But anyway, I'm the managing director of Doorway Homes, and also recently I teamed up with G, and we have G&M Investments, property investments, and we are doing buy and holds, and we just acquired our first a couple weeks ago, right? 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Excellent, skip ahead.
So that was a happy moment for us, and looking for more. So wholesalers out there, Damien, Damien. Anyway, looking for more.
I got him.
And always learning, always looking to learn, and really, really being a part of this group. Very much enjoying that, and you guys are great. So you just need to know that. So.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, guys. I'm Victor.
Hi, Victor.
I'm the owner of BBL Homes. We are a redevelopment company here in Strasbourg. I'm an investor, wholesaler, contractor. Real estate is my world, so I do everything. I try to do everything pretty much, help everybody out. I have a couple properties that I'm going to be selling. They are 2 rental properties. I have to put that together. If anybody's interested, I can email you that as soon as I have that together. And we have the property rehab tour this Saturday. If anybody's interested, we still have some more spots where we're going to be showing you guys 2 houses on Saturday, and give you a lot of tools for you guys to go out and purchase and invest.
A lot of tools. Thank you. Let's give Victor a hand. Okay, guys, thank you so much for that. Guys, before I get started, before I bring our star speaker here, Erik, I want to share a quick story with you guys. Is that okay? A quick metaphor? Is that cool with you guys? So, if I was to ask any of you in this room, if I was to put a plank going across this room here, let's say this wide, 16 inches wide, 2 inches thick, right? And I put it on the floor here, and I said to any of you here, I'm going to give you $100 if you walk across this plank. How many of you would do it for the $100? Come on, everyone's hand should be raised, right? Because you'll probably take my money and you'll say that's the easiest $100 I'll ever earn, right? Too easy, right? Well, what if I took that same plank and now I put it over 200-story feet buildings, and I say, here's the same $100, now go walk across that plank? How many of you would do it?
No.
Most would say, most would probably say, you're crazy. I'm not doing that for $100, right? Well, what if I said to you, same $100, but on the other side is your loved one, your child, your wife, your parents, inside a burning building, and you're the only one that can save them? Would you do it now?
Oh, yeah.
Now you say, forget the $100, I'm gonna run and get it and take it and save my family member, right? So the reason I share that story and the reason I share that metaphor is because that's your why. And what is your why, right? Why do you want to invest? Because whatever that why is what's gonna drive you and pull you when things get tough. And things will get tough. Things will get difficult. I just shared a story with you, $3,200, right? Surprise, right? It happens. It's part of this game, right? The question is, when that happens, are you gonna withstand, or are you gonna keep pushing through, or are you gonna say, this is too hard? You got to figure out your why. Your why is what pulls you. Your why. Why are you here? Why do you want to invest? Is it because of financial freedom? Why are you here on a Tuesday? It's Tuesday, right? On a Tuesday night. On a Tuesday night. I was saying it was Wednesday, right? So this
Yeah, you
I could say it was Wednesday or Thursday or something. But why are you here on a Tuesday night at 7:30 at night? All right? With a bunch of strangers. It's because something in your why is pulling you. There's something here for you, right? And that's why you're here. So it's important. That's one of the things that I really dig deep, and I'm going to talk about that next month, where I really dig deep at my goal-setting event. And those of you that attended, a handful attended here, Mark G. That's where actually Mark and G, Daniela, met. We go deep on the why and setting goals for next year, getting clarity, because clarity is what, guys? You should know. Power. That's right. Clarity is power. So the clearer you have a vision of what success is, the faster you get there, right? Because what happens is most people have vague ideas of what they want. I want money. Well, why? I want financial freedom. Well, why? What are you gonna do with that? I don't know. And what you find is, those of you that attended, is that when we go and we look at your why, we realize that it's so disconnected from real estate, so disconnected from real estate. It's usually, hey, for me, it was, I grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment with my mom, stepfather, and 4 of us, sleeping in a kitchen and a bunk bed with my brother. In a kitchen. My mom built a wall in a kitchen, right? So that's my why. I don't want that for my family. I want a better. So when I think of that, I think about being in the streets. I think about that pain that drives me to, what's little $3,200? It's just money. I'll figure it out. It's an asset. It's just a house. Can't rehab this thing? I'll figure it out. Get resourceful. Figure it out. See that? Your why. Once you get clarity on your why, you get pulled towards your goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Feel right? Right? So before we get started, I'm gonna ask you real quick before I bring Erik up, and Erik has got some really good content for you guys tonight. Are you guys excited about that? Because Erik's gonna really, let's give Erik a hand. I'm really excited for what Erik has got tonight, because we're headed for, in my opinion, we're not in my opinion, we're in a recession, but we're headed for a deep correction. And it's obvious to those of us that are paying attention, right? It's really obvious to those of us that are paying attention. And when that correction happens, I'm going to pose some questions to you guys later, right, as to how are you preparing and what are you doing to put yourself in a position of strength and put yourself in a position of opportunity, in the way of opportunities, right, when that correction comes. Because there will be opportunities. There will be a ton of opportunities. It's going to be all in your perspective, what's happening in here for you. Are you thinking, oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end and you're going to buy all the nonsense the media is giving you? Or are you going to be an independent thinker and say, hey, there's my opportunities here? And I brought Erik tonight. Erik is here tonight because that's one of the important components, what he's going to talk about tonight, for you to be able to seize opportunities. You got to have your things in order. Joe and I were talking today on my podcast, and I asked Joe what he thinks new investors should be doing to prepare for the upcoming opportunity. And he said, get lean in terms of financially, right? Get lean so that you're bankable and are able to execute opportunities when they come in the near future. Right, Joe? Something to that effect, basically, is what you said. Pay off your stuff, get really lean. So we're going to be talking about that later in a bit. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you guys to, for 1 minute, let's set intentions. You guys know I always set intentions every single time. You got to get clear on your outcome. I want you to take 1 minute real quick, start writing down on your phones or wherever, what needs to happen here tonight in order for this event to be a success for you? In order for this event to be a success for you, what needs to happen? Who do you need to meet? What do you need to see? What do you need to learn? What do you need to hear? Real quick, let's take a quick minute and do that. Really quick, guys, write that down. Write that down for me. I'll tell you later what wasn't to happen. Again, we're always learning, right?
Yeah.
Always learning and getting better. Okay, guys, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. You guys have that? Yeah? Okay, now stand up. Everyone, please stand up. Please stand up. And I want you to find someone you don't know, someone you haven't met. I want you to partner up and tell them what you wrote in that piece of paper. I'm going to give you 1 minute for that. Give it right here. Give it right here. I'm going to give you 1 minute for that. I'm going to give you 1 minute for that. Go.
Let's go.
All right.
What I wrote
What's the outcome?
Looking to
Wow, I've got my system set up as one now. I do my side that it's
It's like a seesaw.
10 seconds.
Absolutely.
10 seconds, guys. Okay, guys, time.
That's great.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's already in play.
All right, guys. So who wants to share with the group what they wrote down on the paper? Who wants to go first? Veronica, stand up. Your name?
Veronica.
Hi, Veronica.
Hello, Veronica.
Veronica.
So I want to connect with wholesalers, rehabbers that are more experienced than myself, which is pretty much anyone, and find out some new strategies on how to obtain properties.
Awesome. Let's give her a hand.
It's great.
Thank you for that. Who wants to go next? One more. Damien.
I wrote to,
Name?
my name's Damien.
Damien.
I wrote to meet more buyers and to find private money. Because I'm a wholesaler and I go direct to seller, and I have these great deals that I could take down myself if I had funding for them. Because some of my buyers, the deals that they bought from me recently, they walked away with $50,000, $60,000 profits, in addition to the wholesale fee that they paid me. So I'm just trying to learn how to take some of these down myself.
Yeah. Good job. Yeah. Anyone else wants to go? One else? One more. Come on. One more. I'll take one more. You guys gonna leave me here? One more. Joey?
Jason said he wants to go.
Jay, go.
Sure.
Nice.
Since I volunteered, why not? I was telling the young lady here that I was talking to this gentleman, Eric, about business credit and just growing business credit and how to leverage that part of credit against the real estate investment. So that's what I was talking about.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you guys for sharing. At this moment, I'm gonna bring Erik up. Erik, let's give Erik a hand. Erik, thank you for coming. He's got some amazing content for you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Let me give Martin a round of applause for just having me out here. I'm excited to be here, guys. How are you guys feeling tonight?
Great.
All right, good. So like Martin said, my name is Erik Villalta. Just to give you guys a little bit of my background story, I'm originally from North Jersey, Essex County, as a matter of fact. I originated out of Bayonne, eventually moved up here around 2004, and ever since then, pretty much just stayed out in the Pennsylvania area, either between Monroe County and currently where I live now in the Lehigh Valley. So why am I here? Really, I mean, I fell in love with residual income. That's really what attracted me about getting involved in real estate or any business that I've gotten involved in, was the residual income. What Martin was talking about right before he brought me up was so important, the mindset. And I think thankfully early on in my life, a little seed was planted in me, which is why I bring my stepson with me everywhere I go, because my father used to be a real estate investor. He worked very hard overnight, Jersey Transit, had a great income, worked his butt off, right? As most of us do, try to make an honest living, but it wasn't enough, right? So he did things on the side. So did my mom. She actually got involved in network marketing. My dad had a construction company on the side. So eventually he saved up enough money to buy his first property. Prior to leaving Jersey, we ended up having 4 properties underneath our household, which was pretty impressive for me at a very young age. Just going with my dad, looking at showings, looking at, leaks and trying to do plumbing things that I had no clue, like at a 10-year-old age, what was really going on, but I knew that it was important. And once I saw that my dad was financially set, when we moved to Pennsylvania, he actually had his house built from the ground up. So for us, that was a landmark. You know, it was a staple, you know, as a family, coming from, you know, my dad being half Salvadorian and Italian, right? Immigrants, my mother being from Peru, as well, immigrants. Most of us come to this country and want this American dream, but don't really understand how to get it, right? And then nor does our system or education do any better to help us along the way, right? We'll get $100,000 to go to school, but we'll never get approved for that for a business or a mortgage unless we have financials and credit and all this extra stuff, right? So long story short, right out of 18 in high school, I'm gonna move over this way just so you don't have to keep doing that with the camera. I'll make it easier for you. So my dad actually forced me into real estate school, right? And you would think that I'd be more inclined to doing it, but he actually forced me into it, and that was the first seed that was planted in me. We bought our first property when I was 19. I also got married at that age, which was crazy. Things unfortunately didn't work out for the best, but our property was sold and we made money. It was the first time ever, even though that it was due to an unwanted circumstance, we ended up still profiting on something that was purchased throughout that. We actually had an asset, even though throughout that time frame, a lot of other things were lost. So that was a nice reminder for me that this could happen. Unfortunately though, because I took a step back in life, I was living paycheck to paycheck. And just like most Americans, I didn't understand how to boost my credit score as high as possible so that I could take advantage of the best terms possible too. So needless to say, let me open this up and I can tell you a little bit about the company. So how and why I'm here is, as of recent, let's fast forward to 2015, I was a commercial credit advisor. I left the real estate industry after the market crash between 2005 and 2007. I actually worked for Century 21 at the time, and it wasn't the best economical times, to say the least. I learned quickly, just like Martin was saying, to give my own financial forecast based on what was happening in the market, based on what was happening, you know, with politics, right? What we're going through right now with this pandemic. So what he's talking about with this financial crisis is something I kind of learned back in 2005 by getting hit in the face with life, right? And what happened was, throughout me learning this journey of trying to rebuild my credit, I tried not only to rebuild my credit, but find a way that I could find another source of income. So needless to say, in 2015, one of the things that I did to get my foot back in the door with real estate was I got involved in a network marketing company. That for me was another way to bring in another source of income. So I pushed myself into that. Thankfully, I did very well. You know, my mentor did very well. And we used that income to buy our property. Our first property was actually a property that we bought cash because the credit was not good enough, nor did we have enough tax returns to show how we made all this money all of a sudden. So, you know, we didn't have 2 years of returns. So our first property that we bought was actually a foreclosed property in Bethlehem. And if it wasn't because of situations that were taken, you know, advantage of, just like now with the market, you know, we ended up winning heavily. You know, we almost doubled our profits after selling that property. So the company ended up stemming from that. How? By us improving our credit. We used some of that money, paid off debt, paid off different loans, boosted our trade lines, which is one of the most important things I want to talk about today. And that's why I'm here. Okay, so as of 2015, this company has kind of been in existence. 2017, it legitimately was created. And ever since then, we've been GK United. That's George in the middle, who was my mentor. He actually was the one who introduced me pretty much to this residual plethora. You know, thankfully, because we've done so well with network marketing, we've used that money to purchase our properties, right? And currently the firm has over 42 properties, which we've been able to manage ourselves, you know, which is awesome. You know, we don't have a management company. Thankfully, we have a lot of time during the day that we can kind of do things on our own. But obviously, if we were still working or still employed, without a doubt, you know, we would have no time to do those things on our own. The third gentleman that you see there, the bald gentleman on the right, I love him to death. That's the godfather of credit, right, in our company. We call him Carl. And Carl honestly is one of the most prestigious guys in Lehigh Valley when it came to car financing. You know, he was in that world for a long time. He worked for about 15 years in the auto industry. So between the three of us, I deal directly with personal credit, George handles the real estate, and Carl does the F&I with auto dealerships. So that's how we've been able to diversify ourselves and really start teaching people how to improve their personal credit. I left Dun & Bradstreet in 2015, which was my most recent, I guess, corporate job. I was a commercial credit advisor, where I learned how to remove collections, charge-offs, you know, big time judgments and public records off of a lot of corporate accounts. You know, these are things that not only do we experience on a personal level, on a commercial level, it's a whole different playing field, okay? Obviously, there's a lot more money involved. So the three of us, the whole reason we got involved in this business was to just truly help people. You know, it wasn't even a business, to be honest with you. It was just us helping friends understand how they can legitimately remove negative items and save money at the same time. You know, even if these things are impacting you right now, and I would say 80% of the room right now, you know, which is the statistic, has less than 680 credit score. You know, that's a statistic. I don't know here, right? We're around a bunch of people who take this a little bit more serious. Nobody's really working on their credit on a Tuesday night, unless you're focused on the journey, right? Unless you're doing something for the bigger picture. So that's how we came around, because we saw that there was a need. We saw that there was companies, and I don't want to call names, but there are companies out there that charge all kinds of astronomical fees, you know, and not only are they charging you astronomical fees, but they have recurring monthly charges, and your results, they take forever, right? So one of the biggest things that we've been able to be prideful on is the fact that we can offer results very quickly. And let's show you, let me talk about that. These are some of the things that we work on, right? Everything on your credit, for those that don't know, everything on your credit at some point is gonna come off, you know, whether it's positive or negative, right? It all has a statute of limitations, right? Which is just an expiration date, in other words. However, there are things that could dampen your credit along the way for maybe more than 2 years. Inquiries are only going to be 12 months to 2 years, you know, but what if you had a charge off? What if you got a medical bill? What if, you know, you ended up leaving an apartment and couldn't pay off the, you know, last month for whatever reason? You know, what if you're going through a pandemic? Like, you know, Martin said, a lot of the people that we deal with, you know, are going to have eviction problems, right? And I'm sure, like, those that are property managers in the group can understand, right? Can see that, you know, their clients are experiencing pain from not receiving those rents. So these are things that we remove. These are things that legitimately could be affecting you, could legitimately be yours, and still have outstanding balances or owe money on, but can still get removed. There's a potential for that. Just like anything, you can appeal it, you can dispute it. And thankfully, there's a Fair Credit Reporting Act that protects all of us and our rights to dispute anything and everything that we feel is inaccurate, okay? So, and that's what I'm really good at, okay? I'm really good at challenging these things and finding out ways and different loopholes that we can extract this from your credit. Typically, these results can take 30, 60, sometimes 90 days. You know, there are some more severe cases like bankruptcies and foreclosures, things like that, then obviously we can get into, that may take a little longer. But typically our clients see results within 30 to 90 days at the most. So let's talk about what we do and how we do it. This is pretty much, it's hard to see there. I know it's a little blurry. Let me see if I can read this, but I deal specifically with a lot of real estate people, whether it's real estate investors, mortgage lenders, realtors, title agents. Why? Because they typically know someone or are working with someone who could be experiencing something like this, right? Whether they're accounts that are showing closed with late remarks, you know, meaning that, yeah, the terms were completed, you don't owe a debt, but there were some mistakes throughout the way. Those are things that are currently impacting your credit, bringing down or bringing up, I should say, your interest rates. For those of us that are in the room, I'm sure, you know, and I'm sure Martin, for every 1 point, we're spending how many more dollars? You know, we could be spending thousands, hundreds, you know, more dollars. I had a friend of mine just refinance his house for 2.5% interest rate, saved about $107,000 on his mortgage. Mm-hmm. That's interesting, right? How 2, 3, 4 points can do that much, right? So this is typically what I see, what your lender's gonna see from the dawn of time up until now, how you've been or what your habits have been, right? And your score, for those that don't know, your score is predominantly composed, actually 60% of it's composed on what you're doing right now. How you're currently paying bills, what your utilization, what your revolving lines of credit look like, how many revolving lines of credit do you have that look like that, right? So more importantly, what I do is I clean this, right? We try to get rid of as much of these negative items as possible. Collections for $5,000, $7,000 charge off sometimes. I ran into an instance where I helped a pastor who was driving home from like a missionary and was hit by a drunk driver who had no insurance. She had no gap insurance. Needless to say, whoever sold her the car never sold her gap. And now had a charge off for $13,000 on the loan, literally about 90 days from closing. So how do we remove this? How do we help somebody settle and get out of these things? This is how, right? So these are more obviously debts. We dispute these things. There are ways that we can, again, pull them from the report and challenge them. Not to say that these aren't yours, that these things didn't happen, or that you don't owe this money, but there are ways to dispute and remove those inaccuracies so that a bank or a lender won't see those things. And the result of obviously doing so is improving someone's credit score drastically. This is just an example of something that can happen. And these are just screenshots that I've taken from people that have over 1,000 reviews on our website alone. So I just pulled a few screenshots of something that we do all the time. Someone who was in a 570 can easily be up into a 700 credit score. How? By removing maybe sometimes, just like in this case, 5 to 7 derogatory items, negative items, improving, boosting those trade lines. What do you have open now? How long have you been paying those things? So the goal, and if anyone is seeing this and saying, hey, you know what? I know someone who might be experiencing an issue like this, or I understand what he's talking about, or maybe I went through something like this before. How can I get my score up higher without having to shell out thousands of dollars on some of these other expenses? How can I consolidate some of my debts, maybe refinance my vehicle, save money in other ways so that you can invest, right? That's the name of the game. How can we, trim out that fat in our lives, right? And by doing so, improve our score. So these are just some quick examples that I've shown and proven before. Time frames many times again of 30, 60 days where we're saving people. These are just debts. Let me just read them off to you. These are things that I see almost all the time. And typically when I get a referral, the average person has between 5 and 10 negative items on their credit, if not at least 5 and 10 inquiries, which is one of the things that most people just do, without a second thought, right? We just apply for credit without even checking what our credit score looks like first, if our utilization is in a safe place first. So the goal in every conversation that we have is to find out, how can we improve this? What can we save from you? And how can we make your score as high as possible? These are things that get deleted or I see all the time. Utility accounts, and I don't understand how that happens, but people go through different things. Utility accounts here, insurance for a vehicle. Someone just went from one company to another, didn't pay that last tab. These are the last things that you want to show up on your credit report before you're going into a close. Okay, each collection can easily bring your credit 30, 40 points down. One late payment can easily bring your credit 30, 40 points down. Maxing out your credit card can easily do the same thing, another 15, 20 points per card. Okay, so when we realize the power of what we're doing and where we're actually putting our focus, we can change numbers quick like this all day. This was from November 14th to December 15th, 131 points, literally. Why? Because all 7 derogatory remarks are removed. Now there's nothing but clean payment history. And if the client were to open maybe 1 or 2 more lines of credit, or we can talk about piggybacking, adding authorized users, different things like that, you can easily, without a doubt, boost somebody's credit 100+ points within 30 to 60 days, 90 days, maybe at the most, if we do these things right? Saving you money along the way is also, the second best thing to this, right? Again, more examples, and this is pretty much how we want your score to look. In the end, the result is this. We don't want any public records. So the first slide that I showed you guys had some red markers there. I know they were blurry, but that's exactly what someone like myself or your mortgage lender would see when they pull up your credit report. You know, they're not going to just go based off what you see on Experian app, you know, or your Wells Fargo app or Credit Karma. Yeah, those things are great. They give you an idea. You know, they're showing you your Vantage score, which is not your FICO score, which is what your lenders and your bankers and institutions see. That's what they focus on. Right? It's the average of what those three are composing, not what each one individually is demonstrating, right? Which is your Vantage. It's a little bit different. So the whole name of the game is to do this: to clean up your report, get your score boosted up as high as possible. Not always, like in this case, I got this person to a 660. You know, I believe their score was, you know, if not in the low 500s, probably high 400s. But at the very best, we removed all of her negative items. This is just a conversation I had probably with her 2 days ago. I'm like, listen, if at the very least you're a 660, you're at the line of getting approved for a loan, and you have no derogatory marks on your credit. She's like, yeah, but I should be at a 7. Something like, okay, well, you need like another 2 years of age of credit. Unless you fast forward time, that's not going to happen. I'm like, this is as far as we can get you. From here on out, it's all about you consistently keeping up with those habits. The worst thing that we can do is start paying things off and closing them down, right? Because you're just chopping away at that age of credit, okay? I know the gentleman in the back was interested in commercial credit, right? And that's obviously a completely different conversation, but there are ways, especially being a business owner, that we can calculate just some of our expenses. Those are some of the things that I did all the time for my business owners. I would teach them where are your expenses going, like your vendors and your suppliers, those people that you're trying to keep good relationships with, or the ones that automatically report to the business credit bureaus like Dun & Bradstreet. You want to keep in mind your personal credit, right? The government federally mandates Capital One, Bank of America, anybody that you pay personal terms to, the government mandates them to report that information on your behalf to Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. That's why we don't move a finger, right, when we pay our debts. On a commercial account, it's completely different. It's based on the business owner, and up to them to report those expenses. So it's self-reporting. It's a little bit more work, but in the end, that's what allows you to personally separate yourself from not having to guarantee your loans as well, you know. And then there's a whole other conversation that we could talk about with LLCs and protecting your money so that if things do go south, it doesn't affect you, right? So those are other ways to protect yourself, not only with your credit, but with your business and not being sued, you know? So these are just some of the most important things that, you know, I guess more examples I just threw up here. I wanted to just, you know, really be here just to, more importantly, spread myself out in the Monroe County area. You know, we've been doing very well in Florida and different states. You know, there's a potential for us to open up an office in Florida right now, but I really love Pennsylvania. I'm kind of torn right now. My fiance just found out that we're having our first child together. So yeah, thanks. I just found out like a few days ago, so I'm excited about that, you know, but we'll see where this journey takes us. Right now, we're just focused on helping more people, you know. So if you know people who are in the mortgage industry that may have a need, you know, if you know someone that just needs a little bit of guidance, we offer free consultations all the time. At the very least, that's what we're going to do, is offer someone a free consultation and give them some guidance, you know, teach them what things they can start doing right or wrong, you know, sorry, right and not wrong. Okay. Otherwise, you know, I appreciate everyone's time. You know, I don't want to keep showing you just examples. I can give you a flyer that shows you well over 1,000 of those, but I'd like to open this up now for any questions, you know, if at all. What's up, Andy?
Are your fees, are they standard fees for everyone, or do they fluctuate with, like, I guess, the work that you have to do?
That's a great question. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question. We do offer a one-time cost. We do offer payment plans. There are differences definitely in what we do charge for the services. You know, we do charge obviously a lot less than, you know, big box name companies because we're a more tailored group. We're going to go directly to the source and refer everything right back to whoever sent us the lead. So, which, by the way, we have an amazing affiliate program right now for anyone that, you know, has questions about that, about sending referrals. so that they can potentially get financial kickbacks and things like that. We always do our best to get back to the community. So if for some reason, like I have a title agent, he's like, you know what, I can't accept those things. It's just my company policy. I'm like, great, pick out your favorite nonprofit and I'll send them a check. You know what I mean? We'll do that. We'll say it's on behalf of the company. So as far as fees go, I'm gonna be honest with you. I had a lady where I charged her $300. I fixed her credit for $300. Why? She had 2 collections on her credit report, and she had nothing else but 2 medical bills. I think they were both under $1,000. Not only did I delete those medical bills for her, her credit probably jumped up about 80 points. She was able to just start 2 secured lines of credit. I think her sister added her to hers. She actually closed, and the bank wrote her a check for $1,000. So I was pretty happy about that. Those are wins for me. It's not always about the money, right? The money is going to come, guaranteed. I feel like when you truly help people with what they want in life, you're going to always have what you want in life, right? And that's a Zig Ziglar quote, so don't feel like I made that up. Right? I do a lot of personal development myself. There's times where, just like some of these cases, I had, a woman in Elizabeth just this week who had 43 collections on 1 credit bureau, just on TransUnion. Not even counting Equifax, we're not even talking about Experian, and that has nothing to do with her 17 inquiries on each credit bureau that she just did in the last 90 days trying to get a car either. So for her trying to get a loan within the next 6 months, it's probably not gonna happen, right? But if along the way, I can save her a lot of money on debts, and maybe by the end of the year, get her in a 680 range, 650 range, why not, And there's going to be a lot more with that, right? With 43 collections, there's a little bit more work that's involved. So do the costs, right? But needless to say, we're going to help everybody out and give them a free consultation. You have a question?
Yes, sir. Got a question for you. So let's say someone's has the back credit, right? Let's say someone has a 560 score, and we're thinking of the opportunities coming ahead. It's going to be important to have good credit to be able to execute on some of, at least to be able to exit on some of these assets that are going to be available. If I'm sitting in this room right now, or I'm watching this video, and I'm thinking, hey, what do I need to, if I have a 560 or a 570 score, how fast can Erik, can you get me to a bankable score? So 640, 650 score, so that I'm getting prepared fiscally, right, to take advantage of the upcoming opportunities?
So that's a great question. I mean, I just had a case where I helped a gentleman boost his score well over the range that was required. The only issue with that was that he only had 2 months of age of credit. So it wasn't necessarily the score. The score I can help someone boost without a doubt. There are going to be some other requirements that are behind that though. Credit is obviously, as we know, one pillar of this whole projector, right? You gotta have finances, and other things. So here's the most important thing that I can say: someone who's in a 560 range is within 90 days or less, they can be well over a 650. That's not an issue. Building the right trade lines. It's going to take more. It's going to take more companies showing that you're on time and in your favor for you to move the number that much. Okay, it's not impossible. Sometimes we have to use our own funds, right? Secured lines of credit. Those are some ways to do it without pulling your credit even further, without doing more inquiries, without having banks, put their hands on your credit so that you can see the highest return, right, on what you're putting out, what you're investing, which is those trade lines.
So what is a secured line of credit?
The secured line of credit is when you take money and deposit it towards a bank. Now, here's the trick. There's a lot of companies that offer secured lines of credit. That's not the issue. The issue is that where are they reporting? Okay, so there's companies that even though they offer secured lines of credit, they may still do an inquiry on you. They can still deny you, even if you have your own money. There are some banks that are a little bit more restrictive than others. And then the caveat behind that is, where is that information going? Is it being reported to all 3 bureaus, or is it just being reported to one? So sometimes that takes a little bit of research. For anyone that has questions about getting secured cards, I have over 10 that I can send you, and we can get you right into a card right away for at least a minimum of $200. you know,
That's awesome.
and automatic approvals. Yeah, so I have cars like that all the time.
That's awesome. So I think what I gather from this is, Eric, that if, you know, using debt, right? Using debt as investors, we use, that's, real estate debt is good debt, as long as you're cash flowing. If you're not cash flowing, then it's bad debt. Just make sure we're clear on that. However, by this pillar of having good credit allows you to get the best possible debt, good debt, right? So that you can maximize your cash flow. Does that make sense? Right? So does that make sense? Because you can go, and Joe, I'm just gonna shoot this. Joe is the mortgage guy here, but I don't know, someone with a 650 score might, the bank might offer them a 5% interest rate versus someone with a 750 score, the bank might come back and say, well, you're favorable, everything looks good, work and all that good stuff looks good, and you might get a 4% interest rate. And that's a big deal when it's a $300,000 loan.
I'll give you a great example. A cousin of my wife's had a small collection medical. Oh, I thought they were gonna pay it. There's always a story.
Yeah.
You know the story. It's not mine.
Yeah.
The best story is when it's not theirs, but it is theirs, but it's okay. It was $200.
Yeah.
I said, listen, pay. It was a 690 score. If he had the $200 collection paid off, it'd be a 720. So we waited. I was quoting at like 3 1/8, 3.125, 3 1/4. The minute a month and a half later, the rates dropped anyway. Locked him at 2.5 with an appraisal waiver.
That's a big deal.
It was almost a full point difference because of the 690 to a 700 plus.
So guys, I want you to understand this. So right now, right, I'll give you an example, right? I have an asset that I have a small loan on it, $60,000. I'm going from a 5.5% interest rate to a 3.82 interest rate. I'm keeping the loan the same. It's not a cash out. It's just a rate in term. It's a rate in term refi. I go from paying $424 a month to 20-year M to $342 a month. That's a big deal when you got a small asset, right? To your bottom line, once you understand the numbers and what that does to your NOI and the value of that asset, if you're evaluating that asset based on cash flow, which I do, my assets.
I'll give you another scenario, and you'll appreciate this. Chiropractor, 3 kids, 5, 3, and 1. I wouldn't want to be him anyway, but he's going from a 30-year 3.75, which was good at the time when he locked. He's going to 2.375 on a 15-year. He's bringing approximately 10 grand to the table to get 5 grand back in a skip payment and escrows and all that stuff. He's going to take $85,000 off his compounding of interest of the loan from 30 down to 15. It's $385,000 and appraisal waiver as well. It's going to cost him only about altogether $998 to do the loan. Is that a cost benefit? Yeah, because he has the money in the bank. Well, that's not bad money going out for nothing. That's good money going towards something to structure it. He's going to make 90 grand on that return.
Okay. The numbers don't lie. The numbers are the numbers, right? So at this point, guys, what I'd like for you guys to do is if you could take, if you guys could take your papers, your pen and papers, and write down how the information, stay with me, Eric, how this information that Eric just shared with you can benefit you as an investor. How can you use this information that he gave you next week, tomorrow, right away, if you are looking to refi or get into this business? How can this information, and how does this information empower you? Take a minute to do that. I want you to do that right now. And we're going to start right now. All right. Take a minute to write that. How does this information empower you? Or those around you? How does this information empower you? $20 seconds, guys. 20 seconds, 20 seconds. 10. 5. stand up. Please stand up, everyone. We gotta get the energy up in this room. Just turn around to whoever's next to you, give them a high five and say, "You're awesome, baby." All right,
You're awesome, and you know it.
Find someone you don't know and share what you just wrote down. 1 minute, real quick. Find someone you haven't met yet. Really quick, or someone you haven't worked with yet. Quick, 1 minute.
I know you I was thinking that,
Exactly. Much rather do it local.
So now somebody has, on their credit, they have but not until you find the house and then
We'll talk.
Okay, guys. Right from where you are, just give your partner a high five, say thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so who wants to share? Who wants to go first? Who wants to share with the group what they wrote? Who wants to go first? Come on, we're family already. You guys can close it up. All right, we're on the good. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I did is I put work on fixing your credit before you actually begin applying for mortgages.
That's wise.
There you go.
That's wise. Yeah, that's great. Who else? One more. One more. One more. Come on. There you go, Charmin.
It's not just obviously about helping ourselves, but also helping others. So I was thinking in terms of, I'm obviously dealing with a lot of tenants that pay rent. So I was thinking in terms, or not, those that do, utilizing your service and referring them to you to utilize the rent towards and being able to purchase possibly.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Great.
Give them a hand, both of them. You got something else he wants to share, Erik?
Yes, so I just wanted to, I know Martin has a meeting this weekend, like
property rehab tour.
Property rehab tour. But I did have a credit repair seminar coming up as well. I know it's like last minute, but it's going to be Saturday and Sunday. It's a 2-day course. It's a really in-depth course, talks about how to actually get involved, learn how to read a credit report, how to remove things, how to dispute things efficiently, obviously. The name of the game is time, right? Time is money. So it's a class that not only the gentleman in the middle, I ended up teaching. He used to be a district sales manager for Verizon. He ran 12 Verizon locations, taught him how to do credit repair almost about 3 years ago. To date, he's actually brought in over 500 clients just this year. So he's doing very well, all right, with that business. Not only is he exceeding the expectations financially, but he's helping a lot of people out. So much so that he has another office now in San Antonio, Texas, when he started in Redding. So, you know, this is a business that you could work from home, you know, for those who are looking for additional income or maybe already in that field and trying to add some kind of value to their portfolio. This could be another avenue. So if you have questions, there'll be flyers in the back.
Thank you, sir. Let's give him a
hand.
So guys, he's going to be in the back. If you have any questions or you want to talk to him, you're going to get the opportunity at the very end to chat with him. I'm going to thank you, brother. Let's give him another hand. Okay, guys, so I'm going to get into some content real quick, the last 30 minutes here. And is it okay if I share a quick story with you guys?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And this is a real story. This story is about the rumble in the jungle. Okay? And on October 30th, 1974, Muhammad Ali regained his heavyweight championship, beating George Foreman in one of the biggest upsets in boxing history. So I want you to think about this. So he had lost to George Foreman, younger version, a younger man. And now it was time, I wasn't born yet, but I saw the documentary. So that they went to Africa. I seen the documentary. They went to Africa for this big thing, and it was called Rumble in the Jungle. Almost no one believed the former champion had a chance of winning. No one thought Muhammad Ali could win. Those of you that were alive in those times can probably remember that. It's a big deal. Ali's strategy was to take advantage of the younger champion's weakness. Remember what I said to you guys earlier? I had a bunch of young people at the barber shop. I was asking them what's wisdom, right? His lack of staying power was Foreman's weakness. Ali knew that if he can get Foreman to hit his wall, he can then take advantage. When Ali came up to these tactics, they termed these tactics rope-a-dope. I don't know if that's very familiar in the boxing world. Ali would lean on the rope, shielding his face while Foreman threw hundreds of punches over 7 rounds. I want you to picture this. They're in Africa, and it's open, by the way. I've seen the documentaries. It's open thing, and there's thousands of people around the whole world are watching him. And Ali would just rope-a-dope, let him get tired, right? He threw hundreds of punches over 7 rounds. By round 8, Foreman was so exhausted, he hit his wall. It was then that Ali dropped Foreman with a combination in center ring. Hitting the wall is not an obstacle, it's an opportunity. So, when others hit their wall, as well as yourself, is when you push through, because that's where your gains are. Many people are going to hit their walls here coming up real soon in this market. And I'm going to share some stats with you right now. Many people are going to hit their walls. So the question is, I'm a strategist, so I'm always thinking ahead. And last month, I shared a couple things with you guys about the 4 things that you need to be doing to win. And I'm going to reshare those today. I'm going to rewrite those for you here today at the very end. But I'm going to give you some statistics real quick, okay? So 33% of renters and homeowners didn't pay their rent or mortgage in July. We're in August now, August 2020. In July 2020, I'm just giving you statistics, guys, okay? Please, this is just data. This is facts and data. This is not me fear-mongering. I don't fear-monger. I like to empower people. However, you have to look at the truth in the face in order to face it. These are the facts. I sent an email. All of you probably got this email a few weeks ago or last month. And the lady wrote back to me and she says, I think I sent the looming, I think I titled it the looming, I don't know if you guys read it. How many of you read it? The upcoming looming eviction crisis, right?
Mm-hmm.
You read it, right? And the lady wrote back to me and she said, a realtor, she said to me, you're fear-mongering and you're putting fear in people's head. And I responded back to her and I said, no, I'm not. That's the meaning you're giving it. I'm giving you facts and data. If that's how you feel with the facts and data, that's on you. That's not what I'm doing. This is facts. I'm not saying, I'm giving you facts. I'm giving you facts. 33% of renters and homeowners didn't pay their rent or mortgage in July. August 2020 estimated 16,338,000 Americans are out of work at a 10% unemployment, 10.2% unemployment, right? During the 2008 recession, just to put this in perspective, again, not fear-mongering, just facts, guys. I research this stuff. As an investor, I have to research this stuff because I need to know how I'm going to move. I'm not going to get caught up in a situation where this happened, where the data is telling me that it could potentially happen, and I can start preparing for it. Hence why Erik was here, to help you guys prepare for the upcoming opportunities. Should any of this stuff happen, because again, it still is speculation. This is just me looking at the data, and I want you to take this data I'm sharing with you today and be critical thinkers, and take it and don't accept, do not accept what I'm telling you as your idea. Just take the information and process it and think for yourself as an intelligent individual and say, what does this mean to me? what does this mean for my future and how can I protect my family? And I'm gonna ask you those questions in a little bit, right? So during 2008 recession, how many of you remember that? How many of you are old enough to remember that or were adults to remember that? Okay, that was a painful time. During the 2008 Great Recession, unemployment peaked at 10%. In October of 2009, in 1982, unemployment rose to 10.8%. Those of you that are old enough to remember 1982, I was a little baby back then, but these were both devastating recessions. That's when Reagan was the president. Both very devastating recessions, not depressions. I was recently on a call with Tony that was here last month. So to give you guys an idea of what's happening in the market, right? I was recently on a call with Tony a couple of days ago. Recently on a call with Tony a couple of days ago, or was it last week? I don't know, it was maybe less than 5 days ago. And Tony tells me, he's like, Martin, we had a meeting this morning. I think it was Thursday or Friday. We had a meeting this morning and we decided that the bank as a whole decided that they're going to go from a 75% LTV on a refinance cash out to a 70% LTV, right? And I said, Tony, I knew the answer to this, but I wanted to know where he was coming from. I said, why? What's happening? He goes, well, you know, our CEO goes to these bankers associations and as an industry, we get together and the data is showing us that something's coming down the pipe. So remember what I said to you guys earlier about what is wisdom? Wisdom is taking your past experiences, looking at them good or bad, saying, where's my lesson? How can I do it better next time? Right? That's one of the ways you can accumulate wisdom. And I can tell you from the last recession, being in this business in the last recession, those were one of the telltale signs of a looming recession. When money gets tight and the banks start pulling back on money, something's coming down the pipe. So when the bank is telling me, when the bankers, they have more money, more resources than me, yes? Right? More money, resources than all of us, right? When the bankers are telling you, they're in the know, are telling us, we're pulling back because we're hedging our bets, like Joe and I were talking today, we're hedging our bets and we're being more conservative because of what the data is showing and what's coming down the pipe. What should you be doing as an individual?
Yeah.
Think about that. Think about that for a minute, right? This is what the banks are doing. And they're in and they're in the know. How can you affect your own little world, your own little family, your own personal sphere? How can you then kind of mirror what they're doing to protect your little hole, your little family, right? Your situation, so you can weather the storm. Again, not fear-mongering, just facts. This is a real conversation. These are real facts with real people of what's really happening. It looks good out there. Yes, right? Is anyone complaining? Are you guys hear anyone complaining about money in our economy right now in our country? No, but yet there's 16 million people right now out of work. How is that possible? Think about that. How is that possible? So again, I'm asking you guys critical questions that you need to be thinking about as investors. Right? Is this important for you to ask yourself and kind of process this information? How is this possible? And is everything that I'm being told from the media, how much of that do I need to take? How much of that is relevant to me in my life and in my business? How can I take that or whatever this data, that data, this data, my own experiences, pull it all together and then strategize to move forward to weather the storm, because the storm is coming. I believe that. Again, that's me being, just looking at the data. Just from past experiences being in the mortgage industry. And those that are in the mortgage business, I was talking to Joe about this earlier, those of us that were in the mortgage industry last year, we see a lot of similarities from 2000, and those of us that were in the business in 2007, so we see a lot of similarities. People overpaying, and you remember you came into business during that time. People overpaying, way overpaying. It's easy to make money right now if you're real estate. If you're a real estate agent, it's very easy to make money. The question is going to be, when it slows down, where are you going to be? How are you pivoting? How are you preparing for the slowdown? As investors, how are you pivoting? How are you preparing? How are you protecting yourselves? Right? So I also spoke to another broker that told me, and we talked about this today, that investors wanting to refinance their home, so for instance myself, I want to refinance my home. if I want to, again, just data, this is just facts of what Fannie and Freddie are doing, what the people, those that have the money make the rules in our business. Those that have the money make the rules. So you follow who has the money and the rules they're setting and what they're doing, and you're gonna be able to adjust accordingly, unless you're just, you have an infinite bank account that you can just write checks, and most of us probably don't. So you pay attention to those that have the money, that are making the rules, and then you play by those rules. Does that make sense? Right? So I spoke to another broker she said to me, investors wanting to refinance their home, the banks want to see six months per asset in reserves. So they want to see 6 months of your mortgage payments in reserve. So if you own five houses, they want to see 6 months per each house in the bank, right? Per asset. They want to see no forbearance during this COVID time. So they don't want to see you taking a forbearance, right? If you took forbearance, disqualified, right? And they want to see rent deposits. So pre-COVID, the banks were looking at, they would take leases. So that you would say, here's the lease, here's the rent. They still want that. Yep, give me the lease, here's the rents. But we also want to see the deposits of those rents to match the leases in your account. And they want to make sure that your tenants haven't missed any payments and they haven't been affected by COVID. So I just want you to pay attention, again, just data. What does that mean to you? What does that mean, right? What does that mean? What are you asking yourself? What kind of questions are you asking yourself? How are you strategizing? How are you prepared as investors? I think all of this means opportunities for us. How many of you see opportunities in this? All right? How many of you see gloom and doom in this? Right?
Both.
Right? So there's going to be gloom and doom, absolutely, for those that believe it's gloom and doom. And there's going to be opportunities for those of you that believe it's opportunities. Right? What is wisdom, right? Wisdom is looking at your experiences, good or bad, whatever meaning you're giving to it, right? And then deciding and looking at what did you learn? How can you identify if it's bad or good? How can you identify it even sooner next time so you can execute it quicker? Or if it's bad, if you're giving that meaning a bad meaning, how can I then identify it sooner so that I can go the other way next time I see it? Does that make sense? Does that feel right? Right? Wisdom, right? So this is a mindset. So the question is, as I gave you all of this data, I want you to pay attention to what happened in your nervous system here. How did you feel? Were you getting excited or were you like, holy shit? What were you thinking? It's going to tell you a lot about your mindset, right? Those of us that lived through 2008, maybe we felt a little bit of that, holy smokes, things, could be really bad. Those of us that have done the work are like, that are paying attention are saying, yes, because most Americans don't know this. This is a fact, guys. Most people don't know this. Most people know that there's something out there, but they're not feeling it, right? They don't know it because it's out of sight, out of mind. They're getting checks every month, right? Everyone's getting checked. They're $400 now a week. For what, another 8 weeks or something like that? What's going to happen after the election?
No more free money.
I'm just going to put that out there for you guys. What's going to happen after the election? What do you think is going to happen? I'm trying to get political. This is facts. Right? Politics, I'm playing politics right now. Politics aside, this is about you and your family. How are you preparing? What are you doing if that happens? If it doesn't happen, hence why we have Erik here, right? If that's one of the things you need to get in order. Listen, there's going to be opportunities. I believe there's going to be opportunities. I believe there's going to be opportunities where we're going to be buying real estate. And I wish I would have known now, what I know now, 10 years ago. Because had I known what I know now 10 years ago, I would have bought houses for nothing. I remember thinking about real estate. I was in real estate during 9, 10, 11, thinking, and I had some assets, and I remember thinking, real estate, yuck. I remember that negative feeling because that's what the media was pitching to us. Because the media was putting in front of our faces all these foreclosures, people homeless, all this crap media was putting. So, and the prices plummeting and the foreclosure crisis and all this crap that they were feeding us, and I reject this for all of you, but I remember feeling that feeling because that's what they wanted me to feel. Question is, I want you guys to be independent thinkers, and I want you to take the data and then say, okay, where's my opportunity? Right? Now think about that. If all of that is being fed to you and you're clear on what you want, right? What does Warren Buffett says? He says, when everyone's fearful, when everyone's aggressive, be fearful. When everyone's fearful, be aggressive. So if everyone's fearful, that's when your opportunity arises. Everyone's fearful. So if everyone's fearful and everyone's thinking, yuck, real estate, and you are educated, each and every one of you are educated, you know how to run your numbers, you know what a cash flowing property looks like, you know, who cares what they're saying? You're investing, you know why you're investing for cash flow. What are the numbers? Does the numbers make sense? Yep, I'm in. People always gonna need a place to live, yes or yes?
Yes.
Right, so if you're clear on your strategy, like Muhammad Ali was really clear on his strategy, remember him? He was really clear on his strategy. He knew what he was doing from Jump Street. He knew going into it from the beginning. So I'm asking you, if this were to come, because there is a possibility that it could not happen, and magically everyone goes back to work and we go back to a 3.5% unemployment rate, pre-COVID. That could happen, right? If that happens, right, then none of this matters. But if you prepare and none of it matters, would you be better off still?
Absolutely.
Would you still be ahead of the game?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? You will still be ahead of the game. So what are those 4 things that you need to, that I shared last week with you guys that you need to succeed, right? We said number 1 was, you guys remember? Anyone remember?
Last week or
Last month, sorry, last month. Does anyone remember what was the first thing I said? Right? No one remembers? Okay, that's why repetition is the mother of retention. Work hard, remember that? Work hard, so you have to work hard, right? You gotta work hard. But this alone won't get you what you need. Working hard alone is not gonna make you, it's not gonna give you success. Not alone, it's a very important component, that's why it's number 1. Number 2, you gotta read and learn. You gotta sharpen your skills, that's why you're here. Right? But working hard, reading and expanding your brain and learning from others, those 2 things alone are not going to do it. We got number 3s. And we just talked about that. You got to strategize. So you actually have to sit down and think about this stuff. You have to actually sit down and look at the data, and you have to actually have that conversation with yourself or your spouse and say, okay, here's the data. How can we pivot and adjust to move forward? What's our moves in our family? Right? Is it refinancing our house, lowering our payment so we can buckle down and weather the storm, and we can then create opportunities? We have the extra cash to create opportunities as they come, when everyone's crying, when everyone's fearful, right? So you got to be thinking ahead. You got to be strategizing. You got to be a grandmaster. You got to be thinking like a grandmaster. You got to be looking at the whole chessboard and making your moves accordingly. Planning ahead, right? But that alone is not going to do it, right? You got to do all of that, and then, remember I said this last month, you got to outlast your competition. You got to outlast. You got to have stamina, right? So you got to work hard. You got to read, and you got to show up to places like this. You got to keep learning. You got to be around people smarter, people doing what you want to do. You got to read and expand your mindset, your capacity. You got to sit down and think and strategize. What is my next moves? And then lastly, you got to outlast. Because you could do these things and then give up right before you're right. When is the darkest time at night? Right before dusk. Is that what they say? Right before the sun comes down. So a lot of people give up. They don't last. Right? So you got to do all these things. Hence why I don't teach my children. I don't believe in what's the word? What's that thing that these kids are saying? What's that word? Entitlement. I don't believe in entitlement. That's not what I'm looking for. When someone, because of the color of their skin, they get a leg up. What is that word? Because you're white, you have
Privilege.
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 I don't believe in white privilege. I'm going to be honest. It exists. I believe it does exist for some. Whoever believes it does. It doesn't exist for me. I'll tell you why it doesn't exist for me. And I'm going on camera on this because here's the thing. My competitors, I don't believe in colors. I believe in this. Doesn't matter your color of your skin. I don't care. And I'm going on record and I'm saying that. I don't care about the color of your skin. Doesn't matter. You have to, number one, you have to outwork me. You have to, number two, you have to outread me and outlearn me. Are you committed to that? You have to, number three, then out-strategize me. By the way, all of this stuff takes time and it's effort. And it's energy. And you have to out-strategize me. And then number four, you have to outlast me. If you can do those four things, that's why I don't believe in privilege or all that. That's great. I just reject that for myself and my family and my children. This is what I teach my children. You do these four things, and it doesn't matter the color of your skin. You do these four things, it doesn't matter where you come from. You do these four things, you're going to win if you do these four things consistently. You work hard, you read, you learn, you expand, you take the time to think, strategize what's next, what's ahead, you study, and you outlast. You're gonna win. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. You have a question?
Yes.
So is this good or good, guys?
Great.
Awesome. So what I want to do right now is I want you guys to take a moment really quick. I'm going to give you guys a minute and I want you to write down how this information I just gave you, I'm going to give you guys a full minute to write down on what are some of the things that you all individually, this is what you came to get here tonight. What are you guys here tonight individually can do tomorrow during this time? Because a correction is coming, guys. Listen, there is no way, just logically, guys, please listen to me, please, I'm begging you. There is no way logically that something goes on the market today and in 3 days, someone's paying $20,000 over asking and that is going to sustain. It's not sustainable, it's not real, it's not going to sustain. And those of you that have been in the business, that have been in business for a while, know that this is a fact. It's not sticking around. It can't. It's not a sustainable market. And there's no jobs. It's not sustainable. So the question I have for you today is, what can you guys do? What can you do to put yourself in a better position tomorrow, next week, every day? What can you do? What's the one thing you can do? So here's the question. What's the one thing you can do every day or from here on out to get you in the place that you need to be to execute on the opportunities ahead? Go ahead and write that down. I'm going to give you guys 1 full minute to think about that. And I want you to think about that real good because that's a powerful, powerful question. Okay? Go. What's the one thing you can do that's going to put you in a better position? One thing you can do that's going to put you in a position of strength.
Things like 32 grades. I mean, they'll come up.
So one thing you can do that can put you in a position of strength or in a stronger position in the future. If a correction were to happen, and I am using the word if, because it is possible that magically something can happen and we can be like, this could be the new market normal and we just go up from there. Although it's just the numbers and the data don't add up.
You would just chalk it up to another thing about 2020.
These are our short sales in 3 years.
What's that?
These are the short sales in 3 years.
Absolutely. That's a great.
That's opportunity.
That's a great reference. So if you're an agent, so she just said these are, as an agent, these are the short sales in 3 years. So if you're an agent, maybe one of the things you could be doing is educating yourself how to do short sales. Because there's gonna be a bunch of them. If you're an agent, maybe you're figuring out, how can I get REO listings? This is what I'm talking about, strategizing. Thinking ahead, right? Look at the data, what's to come. This is not fear-mongering, this is you being intelligent. This is you being smart. This is you protecting yourself and thriving. While everyone else is being a sheep and following the herd. Right? What is your opportunity? What can you do? What can you do? All right, so stand up, everyone. Everyone stand up, stand up, stand up. Let's find ourselves a partner real quick, and let's share. I'm gonna give you 1 minute to do that. Find ourselves a partner and share what you're doing.
No, that's okay. Can I take mine off?
Can you send how are you there? I'm Lisa. I'm great today. How are you? I have
The first one or Ranch Fans here, where what did you have? Willow, whatever. You're gonna right, and you're gonna keep going straight. That's towards the left. Second one.
The first one.
Oh, that's cute. So.
I'm gonna be honest.
real estate.
3 beds, 2 bathrooms. Little minor repairs there, you can use the fire and again, all the driveway. Right now,
so it's 92 plans?
yeah, that's my contract right now.
Okay. And then I can click this one. Driving out here.
There's no water.
And this is free?
Okay, guys, 30 seconds. I'm giving you 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Well, so oh, yes.
Oh, they just do the
yeah. I didn't even catch that.
Alright, so that's just that. They can put the price in that. And there's the deck on the
Yeah,
And what is the third of the tree thing? Right, you like a half in there.
All right, guys, time.
All right, gang.
Time. You guys can stay right where you are. You guys can stay standing, stay right where you are, and just tell me who wants to share what you wrote, because I really want to learn from you guys. This is where the real magic happens, is when you guys are sharing what you learned, because that's when the breakthrough happens. Maybe I was thinking something and I heard Lori tell me something. I was like, you know what, Lori, that's a great idea. I didn't think about that. We need to add that, right? How many of you has that happened to tonight? Right? A couple times, maybe, I didn't think about that. It's a different perspective. That's interesting. This is where the real learning happens. It doesn't happen from here. It happens from you guys, within you guys, right there. So who wants to share? Because I want to learn. Neil, please.
I want to learn more about subject 2 and
Okay.
dealing with pre-foreclosures so I can help them out before it gets to the REO stage where
Yes.
it's all who you know.
Yes. See, there you go. That's strategic thinking. See that? But it takes a question. It takes someone challenging you and asking you, what are you doing? Look at the data. How are you preparing? What are most Americans doing, guys? Seriously, what are your friends? Watching Netflix, watching the news, buying into that, right? How many are actually sitting down thinking, studying?
1, 2, 3.
Right?
Time's
Right? Who else wants to share? Who else has who else?
So just to
please?
comment on him real quick, I just took down my first subject to deal this year, so I know how to do it, and I can show you how it works as well.
Perfect, perfect. You see, this is what I'm talking about. Get each other's cards, work, ask questions, network.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else, please? I want to learn. I want to continue to learn from
I
you guys.
wrote down the fixed credit, learn more about these creative strategies, and also stamina to outlast the competition, because that's one of the biggest thing in the wholesaling business, that 95% of the people fail at this business because they can't outlast. So with 7 deals in, 8 in escrow, 9 already pending signature.
Okay.
I'm going all the way through. And thanks to Martin for his help to get to this point.
Who else wants to share? Please. Someone else. I want to hear. I want to get some wisdom. Yes, Daniela, please.
I pretty much wrote down, get the credit right for when the opportunities come, surround myself with like-minded people, and so that I can take massive action.
Awesome. Who else? Give me one more. Someone, please. I know you guys got some nuggets out there. I want to extract them. I want to take some of them too. Yes, Sean.
I think I want to refinance. I know you were talking about what's involved right now, what they're looking for and things like that. So I'm going to take some of that money and.
Yeah, you need to explore that. You see, you need to explore that option, right? You need to look at your whole holistic. Yes, Joe.
I'll try to recruit this guy.
There you go. Yeah.
He's thinking the other way. He should be thinking the other way around. I already did set the plan up for him.
There you go. So again, hence why we brought Erik in here today, because it's just hand in hand. Who agrees that what Erik had to share today is strategically perfect for that? Yeah, let's give him a hand for that. Who else? I want to hear 1 or 2 more people, please, because I want to continue to learn from you guys. Lisa, let's hear yours, my dear. What did you? What's your strategy?
Market to distressed homeowners.
Yeah. So how are we gonna do that? There's gonna be opportunities. You see, in every adversity, Napoleon Hill said that in every adversity lies an equal to opportunity. The question is, what meaning are you giving the adversity, and what are you looking for? Because if you sit there and you look for the bad, guess what you're going to find? The bad, right? How many of you have bought a car here before? And I'm going to prove a point, and then I'm going to wrap this up. Bought a car. Everyone here, most people have bought a car, right? So I want you to think for a moment, and this is science. This is not me. This is science. This is not no think positive and not. This is science. How many of you bought a car before, right? And you remember when you bought that car? You did the research. You went to the dealer. You're a car salesperson.
Correct.
Right? You go to the dealer, the car salesperson, Sylvia, right? Yeah. You lost your, I remember all that. It's inside, okay. Sylvia sells you a car and you sign the papers, and think about this, you drive out. Do you guys remember when you bought that car, what was the first thing that happened?
Tired, it depreciated.
Yeah, after that, Vic, what happened?
Start seeing the same vehicle.
Everywhere, the same exact color. Who can relate to that? You start seeing the same color, the same car, everywhere you look. What do you think happened? Do you think it was because those cars weren't around before? No, those cars were around the whole time, but you activated something in your brain. It's called the RAS, the reticular activating system, because you find what you're looking for. Science, not mumbo jumbo, science. Therefore, if you go into this correction, looking for opportunities, what will you find? Can you brain hack yourself? Can you brain hack yourself to say, there's opportunities coming and I'm excited for that? The same way your brain works is just science. It's the way you're wired. But if you sit down there and you think, oh my gosh, people are unemployed, things is ugly, we're going to go into another depression. More millionaires are made during recessions and corrections than they are during good times.
Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about. So what are you looking for? What are you looking for? If you seek, you shall find. If you knock, the door shall be open. And I repeat this every single time, every single meeting. And if you ask, it shall be given unto you. Ask, seek, you'll find. Yes or yes? Very good. Give someone a high five next to you. Say this is awesome, and you guys can grab a seat. And we're about to wrap it up, guys.
I've been the lone guy.
We're about to wrap it up. So, guys, really quick.
Order in the corner.
We are, so on Saturday, we're having the property rehab tour. We have 5 seats left. Just those of you that have signed up, it's going to be at the mall at the Vision Church. At the Vision Church, we went at the Vision Church at the mall. So at Stroud Mall.
Okay.
Stroud Mall. So we're gonna start at 8 and we're gonna go till 6. So Vic, would you give them your number? Whoever's here, they can text us because I'll probably be setting up. They can text us because we're gonna go in through the back. It's because the mall's not open at 8, right? But mall's open at 8. If not, my wife would be there. Right? So,
Uh-oh.
so she's not here. So, so yeah, so it's gonna be there. If you're gonna be there, remember we're gonna go look at 2 properties. We're gonna spend time. Vic has got a ton of content. He sent me all the stuff he's got. We got Excel sheets for you, where we're gonna give you Excel sheets on how to evaluate a property. We're gonna give you what else, Vic? We got the rehab. We got the 7 stages of rehab. There's a lot of stuff. We're gonna teach you in the classroom how to evaluate the property like this, in a setting like this. And then we're gonna give you all the tools, and then we're gonna say, let's go, let's put those tools to work. You guys are gonna go in the property after we taught you, and we're gonna let you roam and use the strategies that we taught you on how to walk through effectively so you never miss anything. And then we're gonna spend a few minutes right after on the property talking to you guys individually. That's why we're keeping it in a small group. We're only keeping it to 15. So that we can then talk to you individually and see what you came up with. Medium, light, heavy rehab, what's your number? And then we're gonna give you our professional opinion on what we think that rehab or that property is. And this is how you learn, right? Learn by doing, right? And you're gonna get it in classroom. So those of you that learn in classroom, we're gonna get in classroom, and then those of you that learn by doing, you can get both. And then we're gonna come back to the building, and we're gonna do we're gonna unpack that stuff we just did in the field, and we're gonna wrap it up with some mindset strategies. Good or good, guys? Good. So if you haven't signed up today, right now is the last day. Today, after today, we're closing it because I have to communicate. We have to communicate to everyone and let everyone know that we are going to have it over there at the location, and there's logistics. I'm buying lunch. We're buying lunch for you guys. So that's it. Today is the last day. After today, it closes. So if anyone wants to attend, just let me know. And thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you guys found value. If you guys, please, I'm going to ask you one more thing. If you haven't done the survey, I send you guys a survey. Please, 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 I beg of you, please take a few minutes and do that for us, because that's going to help us continue to create content for you that you guys want. If not, then I'm just going to keep giving you what I think you need, and it's not necessarily right. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next time.
All right.